Welcome back, everybody, to the Sports File, a 35-year reboot. This is going to be episode number 24, and I'm your host, Sean Barclay. Today's episode, we're going to talk about the Masters, the 2025 Masters final round recap with eventual tournament winner Rory McIlroy. We'll also talk about the Denver Nuggets versus the LA Clippers Game 1 playoff round 1 recap. We'll do a quick recap on Wrestlemania this year that just occurred over the weekend. And then last topic will be quick hits of just kind of what we've been watching on TV and what shows we really like. All right, the final round of the Masters tournament in general saw Rory McIlroy win in a playoff versus Justin Rose. We'll get to kind of the recap of that final round because that was just incredible theater on TV to watch it and play. But the Masters itself was just held last weekend, and it was held down in the Great Augusta National Golf Course in Augusta, Georgia. Had the opportunity to go there last year. Talked about that on one of the previous pods. Went to a practice round. Just incredible golf course. Beautiful. That television, when they broadcast it, the whole tournament and leading up to it, Masters Week, where you have the players coming in on Monday, they do a little bit of practice round, and then you have the championship dinner. It's where all the Masters champions get together and eat dinner, and the guy who won it last year hosts it. You have the par 3 tournament, which is a lot of fun. You see all the players' kids, wives out there playing with it. It's kind of a nice event. And then Thursday through Sunday is obviously the Masters tournament. And Rory McIlroy ends up winning the Masters tournament. And Sunday was just Rory McIlroy is, to me, an incredibly frustrating case of someone who has all the talent in the world, could have been the next Tiger Woods, and just never has really lived up to that moment. It's almost like a career like a Phil Mickelson in a lot of ways. He's incredibly talented, can absolutely bomb it. He looks like the golfer. You watch this guy and you think, why isn't this guy winning more? And this Sunday round kind of just is an epitome of kind of what he is. It really is kind of very similar to Phil Mickelson, the way Phil used to play, where you're humming along. I mean, at one point in the final round, Rory, after completing the 10th hole, he had a 4-stroke lead, right? Really, really good. And then it just starts falling apart, right? He ends up on hole number 13. He lays up, but he misplaced his wedge. And this was like an 80-yard wedge shot, which for these guys is nothing. He ends up dumping it into Rays Creek, resulting in a double bogey. I mean, just mind-boggling, right? By hole 14, now remember, at the end of 10th hole, he had a 4-stroke lead, right? At the end of hole 14, he got a bogey on that as well. This brought him into a tie for the lead with Rose and Ludwig Edberg at 10 under. And I thought, this is over. He's going to completely choke. I was thinking, if Justin Rose can get in there and post a good score, Rose is going to win. And then, Rory comes back. He hits a great shot, a 7-iron out on hole number 15 around the trees. You can kind of see what he did. He bent the ball totally around, gets it real close, sets it up for a birdie. And then by hole 17, he hits an approach to 3 feet and converts that to birdie to regain the lead at 12 under. But what does he do on 18? He bogeys it. And I think this putt was around 4 to 5 feet. He misses it to bogey it. Ends up going into a playoff. And at this point, I thought, it's over. Rose is going to totally win this. Rory is going to just totally choke. And he didn't, to his credit. He did not. He went out first playoff hole, won, hit just a beautiful shot, really set it really close, hit about a 2-footer for birdie to win, and to capture his first Masters championship and also completing his first career Grand Slam. A career Grand Slam is you essentially win one of the majors, the majors being the Masters, U.S. Open, the British Open, and the PGA Championship. You win it at least once, and he did that. Really fun to watch. Great tournament. A lot of fun to see just the Masters. It makes for just great theater. And one thing that CBS does that's just so great, I think they only have 3 sponsorships And part of the deal is that, yeah, you're going to get commercials, but it's very uninterrupted coverage. You're basically watching commercial-free golf with the Masters. It's part of the gig when you sign up. I know IBM's been a sponsorship. Cadillac was a sponsor in years past. Travelers was a sponsorship in years past. And it's only very select few, and so you're seeing these quick hits of commercials. So you're only missing maybe a minute and a half, it feels like, every hour when you're watching it. So they do such a great job. Jim Nantz is the best announcer, period. NFL, golf, he's incredible. College basketball, the guy's an absolute legend. So kudos to CBS on another great coverage of the Masters, and kudos to Rory McIlroy for capturing his first Masters tournament. All right, the Denver Nuggets opened the first round of the playoffs for the 2025 NBA Western Conference first round playoff game. They beat out the Los Angeles Clippers 112-110 in overtime. This game happened back on Saturday. Great game to watch. I mean, these two really went at it the entire game. I'm going to go on record here as I don't think the Nuggets get out. If they get out of the first round, I don't think they get out of the second round. They just don't really have a bench, if we're being honest with it, and they just don't have it. They fired their coach, Michael Malone, fired the GM. This is clearly a team that's looking for a little bit of desperation, and I feel like this core group that we're seeing with Jokic, Gordon, Murray, Westbrook, Christian Brown, Michael Porter Jr., some of these guys are not going to be here. They're in a tough situation, salary, kind of the quote-unquote salary cap that's in the NBA, which is more of a luxury tax. They've got some really bad contracts. For example, Jamal Murray. I loved Jamal Murray when they went to when they won the championship 2 years ago. He just feels like a huge disappointment at this point, and it feels like they paid him too early with a max contract. They went ahead and signed Gordon to a huge contract this year. He doesn't look like the same player, and it just feels like it's such a waste of Nikola Jokic. Jokic, again, just incredible game. 29 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds. Gordon had a really good game, 25 points, 8 rebounds. Murray was super frustrating. If it wasn't for him getting hot at the end, it would have been just a massive, a horrible game for Jamal. He ended up with 21 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Russell Westbrook is a frustrating dude to watch. One thing about Russell is he brings the energy. He brings it. He will always bring it. He'll make boneheaded decisions out there, but man, when he will occasionally come up with just a huge couple plays, like he had a clutch three-pointer late in regulation, and he made a key defensive play in overtime. He ended up with 15 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. James Harden for the Clippers was doing what he does, 32 points, 11 assists. Kawhi Leonard, 22 points, 6 rebounds. Really, really good matchup. Team stats, field goals, Clippers were at 50%, Nuggets were at 43%. The Clippers, 36%, 3 points, Nuggets were only 33%. Free throws, the Nuggets had the edge here, 77 versus 75. And so just a pretty good game, but they won in overtime. I think this thing is going to go, my guess is the full 7. And I think, honestly, it's a toss-up. I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers win. If this team doesn't have Jokic, they wouldn't even be in the playoffs. Let's be honest with ourselves. Michael Porter Jr. was benched. He didn't even play and I think it was the entire fourth quarter he didn't play, and he didn't play at all in overtime. He's been a massive disappointment. So we'll see. We'll see where the Nuggets go from here. We'll do another recap here in a few days after the next couple playoff games at the end of the week. All right, topic number 3, Wrestlemania. It was Wrestlemania over the weekend, 2 nights. You had it on Saturday and Sunday. Wrestlemania 41, it was held in Las Vegas at the big football stadium there. They had over 124,000 people over 2 days attend. I'll give some thoughts at the end here. Some of the quick highlights. It was great to see Jey Uso defeat Gunther to become the new champion, the World Heavyweight Champion. The U.S. Championship, Jacob Fatu defeated LA Knight to claim the title. You had Tiffany Stratton defeated the great Charlotte Flair to win the WWE Women's Championship. You had the New Day defeated the War Raiders to win the title. Completely boring match. You had El Grande Americano defeated Rey Fenix in the singles match. And the main event had Seth Rollins defeating Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Some of the highlights, Jey Uso Gunther match was fantastic to see. Jacob and LA Knight was great. Tiffany versus Charlotte was a great match. Then it sort of fell apart here. The tag team championship was totally boring. Singles match, it's fine. It's amusing to see this Grande Americano, which is really Chad Gable out there. That was sort of amusing. The main event was fantastic. You saw Seth Rollins turn bad guy. The manager who accompanied CM Punk, Paul Heyman, essentially turned on CM Punk and then also turned on his tribal chief, Roman Reigns, and aligned with Seth Rollins. Rollins ends up winning the main event. It was a great, great match. That was the best match of the night for sure. Night 2, you had, John Cena defeated Cody Rhodes. John Cena, first time in his career, was playing a bad guy or a heel. He became the undisputed WWE Championship, set the record, 17-time championship. The Women's World Championship triple threat. Io Sky retained her title against Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. You had Dominic Mysterio beat Braun Breaker, Finn Balor, and Penta to win the Intercontinental Championship. Drew McIntyre defeated Damian Priest. Logan Paul defeated AJ Styles. And Randy Orton defeated Joe Hendry. Randy Orton defeated him. And then you had the Women's Tag Team Championship, which saw the return of Becky Lynch. And Lyra defeated Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to win the titles. Fatigue definitely set in. I think, WrestleMania is a to sit down and watch this, it's essentially you're committing to close to 7 hours of TV. And it definitely, this one was, night 2 was not as good as night 1 in my opinion. Logan Paul defeating AJ Styles, that's just, I can't stand that. AJ Styles is an incredible wrestler. Logan Paul, the famous YouTuber, is out there. He's really good, but it just makes AJ Styles look so weak and lame. The Randy Orton Open Challenge, where Joe Hendry came in from TNA, was a squash match. It was over in 3 minutes. The Women's Tag Team Championship was decent. That was actually a pretty good match with Becky and Lyra defeating Liv and Raquel. The Intercontinental Championship, that was probably the best match, maybe. With Dominic defeating Braun. Dominic, his father is Rey Mysterio, the legend, who's still there. Dom plays a great bad guy, and he defeated Braun. He's getting way over with the fans now, suddenly Dominic is, so he might end up turning face, and you might see the eventual breakup of the Judgment Day with Finn Balor, Liv, Raquel, because Dominic has sort of turned on Finn during that match. Io Sky, super athletic. She's an incredible wrestler. Fans clearly have turned down Bianca Belair. She gets booed a lot, and she's a good guy, so it's super unusual that they're not. There's definitely some fatigue with Bianca. Rhea's always over. And then you had the John Cena Cody Rhodes match. I thought was just terrible. It was boring. It was, Travis Scott comes down like he's the hip hop star comes down like it was a huge thing, and it wasn't very good. It just was an awful match, in all honesty. It looked like they had great heat going into this, the build up to it, with John turning bad guy after never being a bad guy in WWE, facing the ultimate good guy right now with Cody, and the match was not good. And I think, again, you do wonder, is 2 nights too much, right? Is 2 nights too much of WrestleMania? It's a lot. The crowd was just sort of flat. I didn't think Las Vegas in general was the best crowd. Maybe it was the stadium they were in, the amount of people. They did not seem like they were into it like years past. But that's it. So going forward with wrestling, WWE, it's a total reset tonight. They have the Raw, which is the WrestleMania after Raw event that takes place, which is usually huge. You're going to see resets of all storylines. So you'll see some fallout from WrestleMania, and then you'll see brand new storylines and probably a lot of returns with people coming back. So that's the WrestleMania recap. All right, final topic, TV shows we've been watching. First one, The Pit. It's on Max. Great show. It's a hospital drama show starring Noah Wyle. Great cast. The whole cast around it's fantastic. It's sort of like ER meets 24. So they had 15 episodes, and each is following an hour within the day. So it starts off like 24 did. Here's the shift comes in from 8 to 9 a.m. and you see kind of behind the scenes of what's happening in an ER. It's set in Pittsburgh, hence it's named The Pit, which is the basement of the ER from the hospital that they work in. Great show. Noah Wyle is fantastic in it. You're seeing a lot of drama, a lot of just quick storylines. You have the young doctors coming up. You see the emergencies that are all happening, the chaos that can ensue, kind of the crisis that happens in an ER as well. They captured it really, really well. I'm super excited that they renewed this. It's definitely a much better show than I think I gave it credit for going into, and we absolutely really enjoyed this one. A couple other ones that we've been watching as well. I'll switch over to Apple TV Plus. 2 shows on there. The Studio these are kind of being released week by week. This is starring Seth Rogen. Great cast there. It's basically this guy Seth Rogen becomes a studio head out in LA, and it's a great comedy. Quick watches. It's really, really well done. Smart, super smart. Kind of see the what's happening when they're negotiating to sign movies or try to get a movie lit. You'll see all of that, and Rogen becomes the studio head because the former one, Catherine O'Hara, who's also in it, was fired. So he takes over. That's been a great one to watch. New one that we just started watching is Your Friends and Neighbors, again on Apple TV Plus. Stars John Hamm of Mad Men fame. Premise here is that he's a former financial investment guy in New York City. Ends up getting fired because he ended up having an affair on the road, and they come down, and basically the guy whose boss wanted to steal his clients anyway, so they get rid of him. He's, classic, huge home, all these cars. His wife ends up having an affair on him, so he's basically broke. He's only got a limited amount of money, and he ends up deciding that, hey, all these people that I hang out with out in the suburbs of New York, they all have a ton of money, and you know what? I'm going to start robbing their houses and taking some high-priced items. It's only 3 episodes in. The first 2 were really, really good. The third one was pretty good. That's a great show to pick up. I maintain, and I've been saying this for a little while, just a side note, Apple TV Plus. Apple TV has, in my opinion, they have the best shows out there by far, and I don't think it's even close. Netflix sure has the content, and they have a ton of shows. My thing with Netflix is when you watch them, you're always like, oh, that was good. That was pretty good. That was fine. Apple TV, they're just through the years, just every show seems to be really, 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 really good. You've got, Severance, which people love, Your Friends and Neighbors, The Studio, Ted Lasso, Disclaimer, which was great. They just do really, really, when they do, and The Morning Show is another one, and Shrinking is another one, Silo is another one. When they do shows, they do them really, really well. So anyways, that's Apple TV, my plug for it, where I think that they are definitely producing the best content. The other one that I'm watching, the final show, is called Celtic City, which documents the Boston Celtics through kind of their glory years with Red Auerbach. So think about back in the 50s and 60s with Bill Russell, going up to present time, right? So it's being dropped weekly or every other week maybe. Shows are really done well. It's being done, produced by the great Bill Simmons, who was the one who started 30 by 30 at ESPN before he left. But he just does a great job. And what Celtic City does a great job of incorporating is just the dynamics and the complexity of playing in Boston with, racial undertones there all the time. They were so sort of forward progressive. Red Auerbach was. He'd go out and sign black players before it was a thing, right? But these players had to deal with a lot of that. They had to deal with Bill Russell is winning championships for the city. You have a guy break into his house and go to the bathroom on his bed. So there's that. But it does a really good job of incorporating how Boston and its connection to the Celtics and the old Boston Garden to the new Garden, and seeing the glory years, what I remember with Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, and the great Larry Bird. It just super nostalgic. Great show by Bill Simmons. Highly recommend it if you're into the NBA and you're into like a team like the Boston Celtics, who are arguably the greatest franchise of all time. That's been the Sports File, a 35-year reboot. This was episode number 24, and I'll talk to you guys soon.